What's up guys, Jesse here. In this video, I'm gonna be talking and reviewing the Tiffen 82mm variable ND filter. Now, I've had this for about going into 4 years, so it's lasted me quite some time, and this has been my only filter that I have purchased for video. Yeah, that long, and it's lasted me this long, and it's still crazy good. Now, Tiffen did not send me this. Tiffen is not paying me or in any form. I just really love this filter, and I want to help you guys who are just starting with video or are doing video and are undecided if you need a filter, an ND filter or not. And I'm gonna tell you why you do need one. Now, let's get started with the whole purpose of just an ND filter in regardless, right? So when it's too bright outside, you put sunglasses on, right? So essentially, an ND filter does the same thing to your camera. Now, there are multiple kinds of filters. There are ND4, ND8, ND16, ND32. Now, the higher the number, that means the darker the intensity on the ND filter. Now, this is a variable ND filter, and let me show you what the variable stands for. The variable stands for 2 to 8 stops in this filter. It can all be done right here. So you'll see my face get extremely dark and you can't see through. So this is why I love this thing, because you can be in the morning filming and you're still filming in the afternoon, you're still filming at 2 p.m. and you can do it all in one filter. That's why this is a variable ND filter. Now, if it's too bright outside and you can't adjust your settings properly, that's why you need an ND filter, because if you're doing video, your shutter speed has to be double your frame rate. So let's put this as an example. If your frame rate is 30 frames per second, that means your shutter speed has to be 1/60, no debate, to get the right amount of motion blur. So now you got two things to help adjust your shot. You got your aperture and you got your ISO. Of course, if it's too bright outside, you're not gonna be bumping your ISO, you're gonna be dropping it without using an ND filter. Now, you're trying to properly expose your shot, so you bump up your aperture to f11, f22, whatever your lens is, but now you can't get a nice bokeh in the back because your aperture is so high. So that's why you need an ND filter. So don't run away from an ND filter. An ND filter is supposed to help you. And that's why you need an ND filter, because you can get your entire shot in focus, but let's be real. We need some bokeh in the back. We need to separate our subject from the background, and that's what an ND filter does. So I went to Huntington Beach with my friend William. He's from Brazil. Shout out to William. You know, it's funny how we met. He followed me on Instagram months before he even came to the US. And you know, he loves filming. He had a drone, and then we just said, we were using Google Translate to communicate with each other, and I just, you know, picked up the phone. Hey, William, let's go to HB. I'm trying to do this video for Tiffen, a review on this ND filter. He said, let's do it, and we did it. Now, I'm gonna show you the shots that we took, and now you will see why you need an ND filter. And before I show you the clips, I have an 82mm ND filter. Now, there's different sizes, but a good friend from Sammy's camera told me, Jesse, don't buy multiple ND filters. Buy a big one, and then you just buy step-up rings. And I said, what is a step-up ring? A step-up ring is essentially a step-up ring. It goes in between your camera and your ND filter. So now, depending on what size filter thread your lens is, you know, you buy that step-up ring that goes from your camera. So this is a 72 to 77, and my ND filter is an 82. So I need another measurement, right? I need another step-up ring. So you just buy the next one, and then you just twist these together, and then you twist your ND filter on. There you go. Now for $30, maybe they're like $12 and $12, $24, say $25 for two, you know, you just saved yourself $100 or maybe just $100, you know. But like I said, this ND filter has lasted me for 4 years. That's a really, really good time. And I did the math. 173 $73, you're like, wow, that's too much money. I can't do that. This, it is a lot of money, right? But for 4 years, I've had this for 4 years. 173 divided by 48 averaged me out at $3 a month. So it's like I took this out in payments and I paid $3 a month. And I'm going to 4 years now with this ND filter. Now, that's why I love this filter. Again, Tiffen is not paying me for this. I just really love this filter and it's helped me out every single time that I film outside. I take this. Now, let's go to the shots. Here is the first shot. Now, in this first shot, me and my friend William, as you can see, I'm getting some nice depth of field, but we're in between two buildings and I don't have the ND filter. My aperture is at 2.8. I'm filming 1080p, 120 FPS. My shutter speed is 1/250. Now, look at what happens when I do the exact same settings outside. So, as you can tell from this shot, like it looks horrible. It's too overexposed. The settings that I want cannot work. And now, look at what happens once I start increasing the intensity on the variable ND filter from Tiffen. So, all of these shots, they're not color graded. Nothing is adjusted, so you can see the raw footage that was captured from my GH5, and I'm shooting in the natural color profile mode. So the shot looks great. Now we went from a shot that we did not need the ND filter, but because we were getting the help of the shade from these buildings, and now we got this shot outside, we were able to nail the shot, the exact same shot inside than we were outside by just having the ND filter on. We got some nice depth of field. This shot looked good and I loved it. So now this shot right here is actually under the pier with 3.5 aperture, 4K 24, shutter speed 1/50, and my ISO is at 320. Now this is what happens when I add that ND filter on. Now again, you're witnessing just how incredible an ND filter does for your shot. Like, it just looks so good. Now in this shot, I'm literally trying to debunk that you need an ND filter. I'm working backwards. So I'm trying to expose this shot. I don't remember my aperture exactly, but by filming in 1080p at 250 shutter speed, it's supposed to help decrease the brightness on the image. But now in this shot right here, it's some nice bokeh in the back. My shutter speed on my setting is the same. So this is the shot that I actually wanted, but as you can tell, it's still pretty bright. Now, this is how it looks with the ND filter on. So this is a more natural look because this is what I was actually also seeing. So yes, there is a shadow, half of his face, but that's because it's sunset time. So this is an actual live image that I'm also seeing with the ND filter. So the ND filter really helps make your shots look more natural at any given time. And given the fact that it's a variable ND filter, it just makes this so much better because you can adjust at any time. Now in this shot, shout out to Mickey Mouse for helping me out. My aperture is at f11, 4K 60, shutter speed 1/25, and my ISO is at 320. No ND filter, the shot looks good. And but let's see, I want some bokeh now. So here it is with my aperture at 4.5, still filming in 1080p. Actually, no, I am filming in 1080p, 1/250, and my ISO is at 100. So all these settings is supposed to help me get that nice bokeh while still, not making it too bright. But as you can see, the sky is pretty overexposed, but I'm getting the shot that I want with some nice bokeh. But this isn't properly exposed. So now here is a live view of me just putting the ND filter on with the exact same settings of my previous shot. And as you can see, now you can see the trees in the back, the nice greens. Now you can see the blue sky. And this is what happens when you don't have it on, the ND filter. And this is at the minimum intensity of the ND filter, the minimum. So by it just being in the minimum intensity, it already helps expose your shot properly, and you have so much range on the ND filter. And here you can see the intensity that the variable ND filter has on the minimum category. So this ND filter has honestly worked perfect for me. I have tried other filters that change the color of my shot, and you don't want an ND filter that does that, because if it changes the color of your shot, then you have a huge problem, because you can't really fix that when you're editing. So this filter has worked amazing for me. And you know, if you don't want to order it, or if you don't want to order it to, you know, if you have some doubts and, you know, maybe you're still questioning if you need one or not, hopefully by these examples you know that you do need an ND filter, and maybe you're considering a Tiffen. It comes with a nice pouch like this. It came with some nice paper around it, but again, 4 years, that paper is long gone. So I use now those cleaning cloths for like my glasses or the camera lens to really just wrap around it as I put it inside. So, you know, this filter has been incredible for me. I hope this video helped you out. And if you have any questions, please comment on this video. My Instagram is Lopez Cinema altogether. Send me a DM. Any shots that you see of me filming outside, the ND filter was on. This ND filter. I have had no other ND filters. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.